And now we're going to take a look at our juror's choice. So each of the jurors selected one piece that they felt really strongly about to award. And then at the very end, we'll share with you all the piece that the three of them selected to be best in show. All right, so first up, I think is actually going to be Melissa, because we're really close to it. So let's head over. Can you tell us why you chose this piece?
So this piece, one, it draws you in. I've said many times, I'm really excited about narrative and wanting to insert myself in whatever the story that the artist is giving. But I also had a respect for the painstaking craftsmanship that it took for it to get done, and the really attention to detail, which was fascinating. And even though this work doesn't give you the same kind of slow look benefit that some of the other works do, what it pays you in is like, oh my gosh, you really were dedicated to this work in a particular kind of way, knowing that it's basically one tool that was used to create everything.
Absolutely.
And so that brings us to...
Let's go have a look. It is, drum roll,
Don Coulter's work, also Don C. And I can't stop looking at it, right? It is fascinating, and really thinking about this not only is a multitude of cultures, so he's specifically speaking to the US, Ghana, I believe Netherlands, I think France is over there, and his exploration. But also it can be a bit timeless. So we see certain cars that would have been around in kind of different ages, but all kind of held together in particular kinds of building styles. And almost thinking about what does it look like if we were all in this space with these multiple kind of images and cultures and people colliding in very interesting ways. And it's just really vibrant, it's really exciting, and I loved it.
Yeah, you can spend a lot of time with this piece. You can give it a slow look and get rewarded for sure.
Yeah.
Because you come a little closer and you realize there's no skin tone.
Yes,
Nary one of these folks has any skin tone. So and also that's really hard to do. So you got what? Get out of here. Got those earrings hanging with the hair. You know that's the shape that would be a head, but there's a question there too. What are you saying to us, Don? Like, what are you asking of us?
Also, there are no lines. It's all color relationship or value.
Yeah. It's great. Congrats, Don. All right, next up, I think is going to be you, Jolene. Should we go towards it?
Sure, let's go towards it. Why not?
So clearly.
So this piece by Amy Lee, The Walls Are No Defense, ticked all the boxes for me. Formal elements, conceptual elements, and then the human experience in there as well. So Amy has done a remarkable job keeping papermaking, Korean papermaking, hanji papermaking, the technique alive, and it's a tradition that people like her, if they're not making it, it will be a dying art. And so that is something that drew me to this. Just the quality and the delicacy and the tonality of the paper is just exquisite. The idea of the bricks themselves, that's something a lot of people can relate to, whether it's actual walls, fences, borders, and then the metaphorical walls that go up in people, and that's what she's referencing. And that's sort of the concept in the human piece that spoke most to me. The idea of metaphorical walls that we set up. If we've been injured or hurt in some way, we put up walls, and carrying those walls in a lifetime, and then breaking down those walls as we proceed through life, or maybe we build new walls. Anyway, it goes up and they go up and they go down. And so I liked every piece, every element of this. And so that's why I chose Amy's piece for my jurors pick.
There's also something really kind of amazing about thinking about bricks being suspended.
Yeah.
Like typically if we're thinking about crumbling bricks, it's crumbling from the top, right?
Right, right.
And it's really interesting. So
Yeah.
conceptually and formally.
Yeah.
Just beautifully done.
Yeah, because they're all put together at the top, and then they do start to break down at the bottom. It's sort of the inverse. Yeah. And so, yeah, just a beautiful piece.
Congrats, Amy. All right, Yusuf.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe we're headed this way. Oh, we're going to pause for just a second. All right, now we have Yusuf with his juror's choice, and we have a little journey to take. All right, Yusuf, tell us about this piece.
Okay, so I chose Anna England's piece, Protect. For me, it speaks to the things that are dear to me in my own art practice, and that's being able to communicate through materials, and also not only just communicate, but to communicate something that has, for me, some type of spiritual context. And a lot of these materials like the seashell, marble, the ceramic treatment really help speak to those type of ideas. And this, and I like how the artist talks about this idea of failure or ephemerality, the things that don't last, the things that we're trying to protect, but we know that there is a time frame on it, and which also helps us to hold it much more dear. And those are the things that we do want to protect. And I feel like we are in a very vulnerable place right now. And when we see pieces like this, the structural wall sculpture, when we were selecting it during our jurying process, we weren't able to engage with it like this. So this was a really wonderful surprise to see it in this way, the way it should be experienced. And I feel like as an artist, you want to not only create the work, and you do create it for yourself, but a lot of art throughout the ages may have been created with a purpose. Even your name was based on what you did within the community and the work that you made. And it had a specific purpose to it. So this gives me that that feeling, and that's why I was drawn to it.
But I think I love all of those things that you've said, but also formally, like this is phenomenally done. Like as you step away from it, there are these soft shadows that are cast and just beautifully symmetrical. The shape of it is beautiful. This repeat pattern of the snail shells, which, you know, the artist was so particular. And then these, like, they almost look like fangs, but those are burnished ceramic pieces, I believe, and that is not easy to do. I believe they're also probably pit fired, maybe. Also lots of loss that happens in that, the flashing that you get, the dark to the light. There's just this smoky, yummy, like you just, there's so much chance in this. And
I mean, just look at all of that, you know, that form that happens, you know, because of the repetition, you know, in relationship to the form that that she's
Yeah.
created.
And then the choice for that to be the hollow that she does flocking to soften
Yeah.
the texture of it, just really well done. So congratulations, Anna.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Folks, do you want to start talking about it and we'll travel there? Why'd you choose it? You all talked about this the whole time. I know.
Well, I
We're tired.
remember, when I was a kid, seeing the movie Purple Rain.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually too young to be watching it, to be honest with you. And, but the feeling that it gave me in that story was, so visceral, so, it harkened to something that I had yet to really truly understand,
Yeah.
But it all resonated with me in a certain way. And to see that, being represented in this particular piece in a completely different way, but it was
It jumps you into nostalgia.
yeah, and it was my
Absolutely.
entry point, into the work itself.
So let's talk about what we see first. So we see a man dressed to the nines.
To the nines.
But
Looking
yet
good.
yet likely in a bedroom, right?
Right.
So
His surroundings are strange.
so it's like there's a reason why he's dressed really phenomenally, but we don't know if he's going anywhere. It seems like maybe not, because we see food there, maybe he was about to eat or something. So it makes me curious. And then we see this television that's on, but unplugged, that's levitating, as well as he's levitating, but he is unbothered. His face, maybe he's curious, but he's not scared, he's not nervous. The ball is levitating. So there's something that what draws me in is not only how there's certain areas that are, that's not really kind of washed in this kind of purple color, but also it's like, well, this is something, I want to know more about this person. And the artist gave us some insight into this person who's very much local, and has a whole story behind him. And I just think it was beautifully took this person and made him literally larger than life, and highlighted a pivotal time in his life, and we got invited to learn more about it.
Yeah. Jolene, do you want to round it out?
Well, again, this piece just ticked all the boxes that everyone has already spoke about, as far as the physicality of the painting, the quality of the painting, the fact that it is a story of a beloved individual known as Ice Cream here in Columbus. It just brought everything that we were sort of trying to do, as this in this particular piece is an example of all the messages we're trying to convey through the exhibition.
So this is a piece by David Deniston from Columbus, and it's called Welcome to Ice Cream Land. So congratulations, David. You received Best in Show this year. So again, I want to thank everybody for joining us for this exhibition overview. Big thank you to our jurors, Dr. Melissa Crum, Yusuf Lateef, Jolene Powell. Big thank you to the governor, the legislature, the Ohio Arts Council's board for supporting the Ohio Arts Council, this great space, and of course, Ohio artists.